because I will forget, and I don't want to be in trouble. All right, so workshop items for discussion only. Item A, everybody's favorite topic, understanding the district's budget 101. Okay, I'm sorry, Maria.
Sure. Okay, so good evening, by the way. In your board package, you have a handout about the district budget. So let's talk about the district revenue first. The district receives revenue from 3 different sources. There's going to be a quiz later, so take notes. Local, state, and federal revenue. We are going to begin talking about how the district is funded from a state revenue level because that's where the majority of the district's funds come from. So let's take a look at the second page of my handout. This is 24-25, the earliest data that we have. We don't have 25-26 out. This is the entire school aid fund. If anybody were to ask you how much the educational system in the state of Michigan runs on, you can say $20.8 billion. And this is how they give revenue and for what reason to public schools. So you can see that the half of the school aid fund is being given to public schools in the form of a per pupil foundation allowance. There is money given to the schools. The green slice is to reimburse the district for retirement costs that are incurred by the district's pension plan. We get special education funding through IDEA and flow-through revenue. Federal programs that are non-special ed related, such as title dollars, as well as pupil nutrition. At-risk programs, as you know, is our at-risk funding for students that fit into our at-risk categoricals. Early childhood program is our Great Start Readiness program, and then there's 9% of others. So this is how the state funds the schools. Now, again, remember, there's 2 other funding streams besides state revenue. Page 3, which is page 11, I just took this report and scrambled the pages so that it made sense. You can see how the school aid budget has increased over time. So 2025 is our last measurable year. The state just settled the 25-26 budget. Our foundation allowance is going to be $10,050. We projected the budget on $10,000 per pupil. I will begin working on the amended budget as soon as we're done with the audit. I'm going to be submitting the financial information database at RISA on Friday. It is due on November 3rd. And this is a very important report that it has to be received by the Michigan Department of Education, because if they don't receive it, we will not get our November state aid. So that's not a report deadline you want to miss. The next page shows the district's fund balances over time. You can see that the fund balances historically across the state have been increasing, mostly as a result of increased funding levels, as well as we are going through the years of having COVID funding. And so the state average fund balance is 23% statewide. So that's an interesting measure because for a long time it was down around 10, 12, 14%. Next page shows you the school-age pupils since the inception of Proposal A, which is in 1995, through the projected year of 2027. You can see that the state has lost about 300,000 school-age children over time, and that is a result of declining population. Gone are the days when families have 6, 8, 11, 13 children, and family sizes are much smaller. And also, too, the reason for this 300,000 pupil decline, the thinking here is that there's less school-age children to spread the state dollars over. The next page shows the history of the foundation allowance since Proposal A was implemented. We have just concluded the 3rd year where every single district in the state of Michigan is funded at the same level. The promise of Proposal A that was implemented in 1994 said that Eventually, over time, we're going to bring the bottom of the funding levels up to match the top of the funding levels. We have achieved that goal during the 22-23 school year. And so no longer is there disparate funding between public schools. It took a really long time for Proposal A to meet their goal, as you can see, from 1995 to the end of the 22-23 school year. And there were some of us that have been in this business a long time that never thought we would see this day. And it was always, the disparate funding was always used as a tool to point towards disparate student outcomes, right? So if you're not being funded the same, how can you expect your children to perform the same? Well, those days are over now because everybody's funded at the minimum foundation allowance or the maximum foundation allowance, which is $10,050. Now, there is a small handful of school districts in the state of Michigan in the 20s, less than 30 schools, that are funded over this $10,050. And those are the school districts that were hold harmless when Proposal A was implemented, and they were already over the state maximum when Proposal A was implemented. However, the funding for the students to reach their foundation allowance that exceeds $10,050 comes from the local taxpayers. So it's not something that has to come out as state funding. So the communities that exist in a school that are funded over the maximum are paying the property taxes to support students at that higher level. As the state support increases, the number of schools that exceed that maximum foundation allowance is growing smaller. So the gap is narrowing because the more state support they get, the less local funding they need and will be receiving. Probably in about 10 or 15 years, there will only be 2 school districts that are above the state maximum, and it's the 2 highest funded school districts in the state, which are, does anybody know? There'll be a quiz later.
Chippewa,
Nope,
Choice knows.
nope.
Livonia.
Birmingham,
Birmingham's one.
Bloomfield.
Birmingham and Bloomfield, the 2 highest schools,
That makes
funded schools in the state of Michigan, Bloomfield being number 1 and Birmingham being a very close second. Their foundation allowance is over $12,000 a pupil. But again, the difference between our 10 and their 12 is made up by the local taxpayers.
So
And the
they
reason
get-
why,
They get 10 from the state and 2 from
that's
the-
exactly right. And the reason why I don't think that the increase in state support will ever catch those 2 districts is because they are outliers compared to everybody else. It'll take a long time. So the next page shows you where the state actually gets their money to give it to public schools. And so you can see the majority comes from sales tax. Now, some of you may recall being homeowners prior to Proposal A and after Proposal A. I was a young homeowner in 1994, and I remember voting Proposal A in, and of course, it passed unanimously because who wouldn't vote to tax everybody but you? And not to mention, your property taxes went down by about 36%. So of course, that passed unanimously. Part of that proposal was recall that the state sales tax was 4% and it got increased to 6%. The 2% went into the school aid fund. The other green piece of the funding, which is the next biggest slice, comes from income taxes that comes out of taxpayers' paychecks. So you pay 4 point something in state withholding. That number is changing all the time. I think it's like 4.02 right now. It might be 4.25. And that comes out of your paycheck, and some of that goes into the school aid fund to fund public schools. You also pay, as part of Proposal A, 6 mills of state education tax in your property tax bill. Those 6 mills get remitted directly to the state and go into the school aid fund. As you know, lottery funds the schools. Sometimes I get questions from people saying, if the lottery is funding the schools, why are schools so strapped for cash? But you can see what a insignificant small amount of lottery funding actually goes into the school aid fund. The next is use tax, and I always talk about like the sin tax that goes into the school aid fund. So this is casino gambling, liquor, and tobacco taxes. So when they say use tax, they mean you're using it. Online gaming is a new development in the state of Michigan. I'm not exactly sure how long that's been legal, but it's been the last couple of years, and some of that is going into the school aid fund. Real estate transfer tax occurs when people buy and sell homes. And then the other 3% is miscellaneous revenue sources. So this is just the state funding, okay? So if we flip the page, we're gonna take a look at what this means to our district. This pie shows all of the funding sources that come into our district, and by far the majority is all of the sources that we've just been talking about, which is the state funding. We also, the next piece is the operating millage. That is 18 mills, that's the blue piece, 18 mills on the non-homestead properties inside of our district. So anything that is not a home, a residential home, if it's a business or a rental property, they pay 18 mills of taxes that go directly to the municipality and then to our school district. We have grants, which is the red piece, which is mostly made up of federal dollars. That is our title money, as well as some other grant funding like IDEA. The intermediate sources is the kind of the pinky orange piece, and that is funding that we receive from intermediate sources like grants through our RESA. The transfers and miscellaneous, the yellow piece of the pie, the majority of that is the 18 mills, the Public Act 18 dollars that we get through RESA that are levied on a countywide basis to all the residents inside of Wayne County. We have a small sliver, we'll scoot over to athletics from gate receipts. Not a whole lot of money comes in from athletic gate receipts. You can see in the budget it's $20,000. And then just a small sliver of other local. For instance, you're aware that we have cell tower rentals. We rent out our school buildings. We get interest income on the cash that we have in the bank. So that's also making up our other local. But again, the majority of funding comes from the state level. So local, state, and federal funding. Let's move on to how we actually spend the money. So we've talked for the whole presentation about the revenue that's coming into the district. This is how we go about spending our money. And I've gone through these pages with you when I projected the budget back in June. But we have a lot of autonomy over how we spend our district resources, unlike the autonomy that we have over the revenue that we receive. And the majority of our funding is going towards, as you would hope, instruction and instructional support. And then we have general business, operations and maintenance, transportation, central services, athletics, and other. So the district runs on just under $40 million, and that's how we spend our money. If you go to the next slide, it's the same, just about $40 million in the areas that we spend it. We are in the business of educating students, which require human capital. So as you would think, the majority of our spending is for salaries and benefits. And then our purchase service is all of our contracted services that we have. For instance, we outsource transportation, custodial, those types of things. Interestingly as well, you may be the only school district in the state that has an entirely outsourced business department. Not sure if you're aware of that, but very unique. And as you can imagine, that's a huge cost savings for the district as well, because you are relieved of paying for FICA in retirement for district employees on your payroll, which is very costly. Next is materials and supplies, then we have capital outlay, and we have other. And then lastly, the last two pages hopefully look familiar. We reviewed these with you when we had the projected budget presentation. But this breaks down into a little bit more detail exactly how the district spends their money. So the functions are on the far left column, so they are broken down by the function codes that are in the Bulletin 1022 that is recommended by the state of Michigan. And then we have across in the blue font, salaries, benefits, purchase, service, supplies, capital outlay, and other. So as you would expect, we don't spend a whole lot of money on capital outlay because the foundation allowance was really dedicated to the operations of the district, not necessarily the improvements of infrastructure. So this district has an active bond issue that is dedicated to those types of costs, so you won't see a lot of those expenses in the general fund. So that concludes my presentation. I know we kind of went through this a little fast. Are there any specific questions that board members may have about how the district is funded and how we go about operating our district?
Ms. Martin, make sure you turn your microphone on too, please.
As it relates to, is this the new proposed budget?
No. This is the original budget.
This is the original.
Yeah, so I will be bringing you the first amended budget, I'm hoping before the holidays. The state just settled their budget on October 1, and it really isn't clear exactly how they are going to fund like their retirement components, for instance.
Because they don't know.
So I'm going to be hopefully working on that now that, like I said, I was going to submit the FID next Friday, and hopefully I'll switch gears and start working on the amended budget and get that to you sooner than later. Because as you know, there's been, our margins are getting thinner, and I just don't want any surprises as far as how we're going to end up with our operating results now that we know our foundation allowance, our teachers are in the classroom, our pupil count has occurred. There's all of that uncertainty will be coming to light in the next month or so as far as pupil counting and things like that.
Now, didn't you stated that we're the business department? Who actually is employed by the business department? Like, is this like what does the business department do? Like,
Okay, that's the department I work in. So there's 5 people in there, okay? There's myself. We have a grant accountant. Actually, there's 4. Payroll, and then accounts payable. And that size is not unusual for a district of this size. There are some peculiarities about this district that make things a little challenging in the finance department. For instance, you run a very robust center-based program for the entire county, which is about, I think off the top of my head, maybe $7 million. Maybe it's actually more like $9 million. And, there's some public schools in the state of Michigan that run on $9 million. You have a center program that is funded at that level.
I'm sorry, so you said you got the grant person, the payroll person, of course you, and what was the other person, girl?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like, for instance, if we need to pay a check out.
That's right.
That's what, okay.
So they pay all the bills of the district, if you will. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there anybody else, any other questions?
I have a question. Excuse me.
Ms.
Will the
Miller?
report be ready by the 3rd of November?
What report?
The report that's due for research.
Oh, yes. So our part is done. The auditors, and let me report this too, no findings on our audit report. So
Oh, very
that's
good.
really great news,
Okay.
yep.
That's what I want to know.
Yep, no findings on the audit report. So we have our part done. They're just checking the numbers and putting their finishing touches on it.
Okay.
I had asked for it for tomorrow because I'm actually submitting other districts' financial information database, the FID report, tomorrow with RESA, so it'd be nice if I could just put ours
Send
there
them
too. But they said that they didn't think they'd have it to me tomorrow, so I'm hoping that they'll have it to me soon. So if they give it to me Friday, I have 6 business days to get that submitted at RESA. I don't like waiting to the last minute, but
Exactly.
we kind of had a late audit anyways. I'm usually used to getting audited much earlier in the audit cycle, but we had a late audit, and, we're just still in the process of cleaning everything up, so we'd like things to run a little bit more smoothly. It was not a tough audit, but I'm happy to report we have no findings.
Okay, very good, thank you. That's positive.
Are there any other questions? So I'm gonna address something that is kind of sort of budget related. I think when we start to raise questions, it's less about the budget and more about, or at least for me, when we look at our check register, if we're doing our due diligence as board members, we're looking at the check register because we have 3 jobs: to deliver a balanced budget, hire and fire a superintendent, and set policy. So if we're doing and there are a lot of times that we see things on that check register that don't make a lot of sense to us. And even if we know what the code is, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to us. So, and like the approval of the check register is kind of a moot point because the checks are already written.
That's right, yeah.
Right? But when we're in, like I probably have spent more time in the last 3 months looking at that check register than I have in 13 years because of our financial worries. So when we start to see these things that don't make sense to us, how do we get answers?
You can send me an email and tell me specifically what your question is.
Okay.
And I will look up your question and give you an answer.
Send it to me and.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I would always respect you.
And if you look at the last page here, I don't know, we probably can't make this any bigger, but when you think about what exactly is running through the check register, you can see that the district, let's just talk round numbers. They run on $40 million. About 18 million is salaries that are committed through signed contracts, collective bargaining agreements, that kind of thing. And then you've got another 10 million of benefits that go along with that. So if you round that up, you're looking at 30 million of the $39 million budget is in salaries and benefits.
Yes.
The other 9 million runs through the check register.
Right.
Okay, so that is supplies, purchase service, capital outlay, and other.
Right.
So basically, it should fall in one of those categories.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it will, because when we pay the
And
bills, the account number is matched to these accounts. And that's why it's really easy to operate school districts, because they all operate the same.
So when we look at that, I know we see the letter.
They should.
When we look at that, we see the letter, G for general, J for bond, A
Mm-hmm.
for athletics. But there should also we should also be looking for this account number.
Yes,
right?
yep,
And that
so
will
yep,
give
that
us-
function right there.
Yeah.
And then if you want me
I'm gonna
to,
have to zoom in a lot on that.
yeah, if you want me to get into a little deeper, so the purchase services, that's the first column that would hit the check register.
Yeah.
That's gonna have a 3,000 or a 4,000 object code. So
Okay.
it would be like, if it was general fund, it would be 1-1, 1-1-1 for elementary, and then if it was a purchase service, it would be like a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
Okay.
So elementary cafeteria staff, because they are a purchased service, they don't.
So they
work
wouldn't
for
be in
us.
the general fund.
Right.
Then we're only talking general fund.
Okay.
So they would be in the cafeteria fund, which
Oh,
would start
okay.
with a 2, okay, because it's a special revenue
See, I
fund.
threw a wrench at you, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So maybe we just need another list of those, all those different codes again.
Yeah.
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 Because I know I have it somewhere in my email,
Yeah.
but.
You know what I could do is just print out our whole general ledger and just give it to you. And then you can see what all of the account numbers are, unless you don't care about the salary and benefits component. I think our general ledger, just off the top of my head, is probably 40 pages long, just off the top of my head. And that's just a general fund.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll say that I'm less concerned about salary and benefits, right? Because that is the business that we
Yeah,
are in,
that's right.
I get concerned when I see things that show up every month that are general fund that, I'm just gonna give you an example. I looked at August, which were checks written in July. There is a payment to, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's a person's name, and it's $19,900, and I'll email it to you. And it says Stuckey Kitchen. Now, to me, we shouldn't be spending any money on that building, and that raises a red flag to me,
Sure.
right? That we spent $20,000 and it was either coded incorrectly, or we spent $20,000 on something that maybe we shouldn't have spent $20,000 on.
So,
right?
let's talk about that.
I actually think I might know what that is. but
Okay,
let me get
and
some
my
info.
laptop's in the car, I can run and
I'm
get
like-
it if you need to
I'm
know.
like, I might have the note in my phone.
So,
No, that's fine, I can look into it later,
Alec William Gagnon. And we've paid him a lot of money over the last months. And I'm assuming he's a contractor of some sort, but it's a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of curious
but
as
what's
to.
the name?
Alec William Gagnon. Gagnon.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
so at the start of this school year, so there's a reason why there've been changes in the business department.
Right.
Okay. So at the start of the school year, I met with all the district administrators to talk to them about the purchase order process and how important it is that we run through the PO process, because we have an electronic purchase order process that passes the purchase order from approver to approver before anything gets ordered. And so we've been doing a really good job since the start of the school year, making sure that we're not buying things that are not running through the approval process. As I had said to the administrators, if you have an invoice in your hand and I don't have a purchase order, you've circumvented the process. And so they've been really good about making sure that they put POs in the system prior to enacting a purchase. And so when you say things like that, I'm thinking there will be a PO attached to it, but like I say, my computer's in the car, I can go grab it and pull that up and tell you exactly what that is if you need to know.
Yeah, I was just curious, because then I saw another like $20,000 that we paid this person the following month. And then I saw his name again on the next month, and I didn't total that one up yet. And so I'm just, when I start to see numbers like that don't make sense to me, I can read, okay, we paid Susie, school teacher, mileage, and I understand that,
Sure.
right? And I understand, but when I see things that don't make sense, that's when I start to get concerned. And I'll raise this question. I'm concerned about some bond things. We've paid some outstanding 2021 bond invoices, correct? French and Associates, to be specific. They were from the 2021 bond. We've paid them recently because for whatever reason they weren't paid. They either didn't invoice us or what. I'm concerned because we were led to believe that there was no money left in the 2021 bond fund. And I'm now concerned that have we paid those 2021 bond work invoices out of the 2025 bond money? And are we violating our agreement with the state by doing so?
No, absolutely not. So all of those expenditures ran through the audit, so they cleared the audit. And just because French codes it 2021, they don't know where we stand from a funding perspective. So they may be just wrapping up our project. As you can imagine, it's really hard to stop a project the minute we run out of money, right? So there's going to be
Correct.
some overlap. But this is probably the area, as you're well aware, where things were not exactly as clear cut as they should be. We are back on track with that and clear about where the spending is as far as our bond expenditures go. There were some expenditures that, and I wasn't here for the conversation, but it went something like the general fund's going to pay for it. The general fund has the resources to pay for these capital projects. The spending was going on in the capital projects fund, but the general fund didn't have it. And so that's kind of where things, of all the spots in the district, that was probably the hot spot as far as where things were the most confusing.
As we suspected. And I was mostly concerned about that, I know there's rules, right? We know there's rules about how you spend your bond money. And that was my concern was, did we break the rules by potentially paying an old invoice out of new bond
No.
dollars?
No, so
Because Lord knows we don't want the state to come back,
Sure, right,
And say,
exactly. Well, and the
"Shame."
way that the district writes the election language, the ballot language, is very not specific for that very reason. So,
Okay.
and also too, to the district's credit, they hire a lot of very experienced professionals to run our bond programs. There is no way that there would be anything not kosher with how things are being operated.
Thank you. It's
So we've
one of
got.
those things that's kept me awake at night.
We've
I
got
have an
the-
answer for you on that issue.
On the bond issue? Or the-
No, this issue.
Oh, the Alex issue?
Yeah, it's an electrical contractor.
Okay, so
And it was, I don't know, we'll have to look into why it was coded as Stuckey Kitchen.
yeah, I'll look at I'll send you the date that
Sure.
the check was written
Yep.
and what it says specifically in the check register.
But,
Because I was like, wait, what?
well, the only thing I can think of there is there's a potential that there's a potential that, unfortunately, the word Stuckey is sticking around as far as it doesn't, Stuckey's been adopted where it no longer means the building. It means it's a synonym some people utilize for our day treatment program.
Okay, I mean, I get that.
So all I'm saying
But
is
as a board
it's-
member, when I'm looking at a check
Right.
register, I have no way of knowing that.
But that way, but that's
That does make
why
sense.
I'm explaining it.
I appreciate
And
it.
also, that's why, if you have questions, if you shoot them to me and Maria, we can get you an
I
answer.
can drill right down into our general ledger and actually even just pull that right out and get the invoice too.
So I hear you say, Superintendent, that, the budget for, where we see Stuckey is talking about the,
I'm not saying that for 100% certainty. I'm imagining, I know there was something that went wrong down in the kitchen at Keeler.
But
And it
I
wouldn't
think I
surprise,
saw that one too, though.
and it wouldn't surprise me if somehow, some way, that got attributed
To Stuckey and not Keeler.
to Stuckey because it was in the day treatment section of the building. And all I'm telling you is in some people's discussions,
Right.
they're synonymous. And understanding what Mike did and didn't do with the budget, it wouldn't have surprised me at all. And Maria wouldn't know
Right.
this aspect.
Right,
Magic
neither would our new AP person. If it says it on there,
They
right?
wouldn't, they wouldn't know.
Right,
At some point, Mike should have changed the account
Mike should have
to
done a lot
either
of
say
things
day
while he's
treatment or Keeler School.
Right.
Or something other than Stuckey at
Right.
the point we weren't
Right.
regularly
It's confusing.
occupying Stuckey.
Yes,
But it doesn't mean that it got done, and that's all I was suggesting, but we can look into that specific expense. But Miles did say that they had to clean up a panel actually at the secondary campus
Yep, I saw again.
also. And
There's another 20
they
grand.
use AWG, which is Alec William Gagnon
Mm-hmm.
Contracting, for that work as well.
Okay.
Sure.
Mr. Bailey.
I would like that information on the ledgers that you offer. All of it. That includes
Bless your heart.
I'll give it all to you.
the benefits, the
Yep.
cash flow.
I'll break it
what
down
our
by,
services are.
by fund as well, so you can get the general fund and all the other funds. Today, we only talked about the general fund, but you can have it all. We have nothing, everything's foiable, it's public information, no problem at all.
To the truth. I don't know. I had a
Ms. Miller,
question. Are we, did we ever pay the loan back that we borrowed?
we paid the
from-
4 million back.
Yeah, we
to
did. We
Huntington.
paid the 4 million back to Huntington. I think that cost us around $130,000 in interest. And then we turned around and borrowed an additional $8 million from the school aid fund. The board approved that as well. And so we will have to pay back the $8 million in August of
That way Jackie can hear you next.
26, because now we are in the school aid loan program. And this is, again, once we're done with the amended budget, the cash flow planning of the district that needs to be done as far as where the district is headed from a financial perspective.
Look into your magic 8 ball and tell me if you anticipate that we're gonna have to borrow again next year. Shake your magic 8 ball, Maria.
More than likely,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean.
Because if you think about it, the district would have to generate $8 million more revenue than.
And that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen,
Okay.
no. It's really hard to improve your financial position without making some very difficult choices at this point.
Greg McIntyre used to say, we need to get off the credit card, right?
Uh-huh.
When he talked about that. And each year, we were able to get it down till, less and less every year until we got to where we didn't have to do it anymore. And, I was here through those lean years, and so I'm always, looking for that day when we're off that loan again.
Sure.
So, thank you.
I'm sorry, you just stated that in order to not have to do like more loans, that we may have to make some additional hard decisions, options. I'm just wondering if you could present us with those options, just so we can hear, just to know what the other side would look like.
Sure. Now, the thing about that, we can make a list. However, it would have to take like district-wide collaboration from the leaders of the district to come up with areas of where they think we can make reductions. But it can be done, and it may very well, I mean, we've already done some budget reduction things when we started 25, 26. So, you know, they'll probably, based on the funding, probably be more of that.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
so there is that possibility, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be better to do it up front than later? Sort of be prepared for options?
So
everybody's
again,
aware?
Sure, the district runs with mostly on salaries and benefits, right? So the school year is well underway, and so we would not want to make any drastic changes to staffing and things like that that would disrupt the educational process that's currently in place. We would begin the planning for the 26-27 school year more than likely. Because again, when you look at what possibly can we cut besides people, you're not looking at a whole lot of money, right?
Certainly not $800.
You still have to heat the buildings, electricity, insure the buses, gas in the buses. There's a lot of fixed costs that go into operating the district that you really can't squeeze a lot of cost savings out of.
The other thing is, Mr. Bailey, this is like an ongoing process, I assure you. We're looking at positions all the time. One of the reasons why you guys heard about class sizes from one individual is because we made some adjustments relative to staffing that wasn't even included and incorporated in the original budget. So we're looking at those things all the time where feasible.
So can we be in the process
We're always in the
of
process.
looking?
I'm always looking.
Because, again, we've had multiple being blindsided, and I'm not a supporter of that. I'd far rather know far enough into the future to know what's coming up as opposed to surprise.
Likewise. I don't know about the instances of multiple blindsides, but I agree with you. And I assure you, we're always looking at.
So, again,
So
I would like to be part
sorry.
of that. You're always looking. I would like to also see that process of what's being looked at.
And usually we get notification from the state way before the end of September what our funding levels are going to be too. So there is a lot of last minute pieces that fell into place for this school year as well.
Thank you.
So I think Mr. Bailey was possibly saying, like, if we can possibly look at that 26, 27. That's our school year.
We're in 25, 26 now, but 26, 27 next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can you
like,
believe
can we?
that?
I know. That's
It's
what
like,
I said.
how did we
Like,
get
what?
a quarter of a century down already? Anyway, sorry.
And so, if you are talking about how that would look like, you know what I'm saying? If we did do some additional things, possibly we can look at that. I think that's what we're both saying.
I think too,
Well, I think so, but you have to
No
put that into
surprise.
perspective. Like,
yeah.
it's not, with the way the school funding works, it's really not always practical for us to be able to do that, to look that far in advance.
That's only one school year.
And I understand that, and we just got our budget
Yeah.
handed to us for this school year a week ago, or a
But-
week and a half ago.
What I'm saying is that, you know how we did an estimate budget of this school year, and how we did that, we knew possibly what some things may be, and it sounds like that's what we were asking for. Well, that's what I'm asking for the upcoming year, just
Sure.
to see how things look on the other side.
So what typically happens is in the spring, early, and we can start early, we engage in some budget projections and some assumptions, and we estimate where things might be. We can do like a board planning workshop if you want.
And we used to do that, like when, a lot of times we did that like April. And a lot of it had to do with, because we were looking at layoffs, we did it as early as April because we had to give a
Yeah.
certain number of days' notice, right? This year, I don't think we can judge this year, right?
absolutely.
Because in April, our finances were a mess and we were just trying to keep the doors open. And in May, we were without a CFO and then, you know, so I think this process has been slower than it normally is. And then the wonderful people in Lansing couldn't get their heads out of their butts
Yeah.
and get us a budget. They were 3 months late with their state mandate, you know. And even now that we have a dollar amount, we still don't know all the details, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
They just need to get in a room and sing stinking kumbaya and get it worked out, but.
And also, as Martin, other considerations come into play, enrollment.
Yeah.
Our number of
Absolutely.
schools of choice kids, our number of special ed students that come in through schools of choice. Because oftentimes, like those decisions that Mr. Witt was talking about at Beach, where we didn't fill a position.
Yeah.
We had someone in that position, and then when we saw the enrollment, in particular at Beach, we realized we didn't need the position at Beach, we needed it
Somewhere, yeah.
at Hoover.
Yeah.
And so some of those decisions about staffing don't come into play until we see who's in the building. So
Until
this year,
August,
Yeah,
September.
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah,
so a lot
absolutely.
of it is just unknown until.
We hear. No, I was just saying, I'm just asking like how we do a projection in
Right.
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
And
all.
normally we have that way sooner
Yeah.
than we did this year.
And then, I don't know, but this may be a little bit off topic, but kind of on topic for me because it's dealing with budget. So, when we think about possible crisis that we may be experiencing in November, people may be possibly shut off their SNAP benefits, their food benefits. As a district, if that does happen, do we have any space to even assist families?
That's not an allowable school district expenditure.
I think that because we have fresh in every building, we're already
Maybe-
assisting families who don't have enough dollar for their month. I think that would require private donations and just an expansion of like backpacks of food and maybe
Because we think about the kitchen
maybe
allowance,
we partner
like the
with
kitchen.
somebody and do a food distribution,
Yeah.
you know.
So recall too, though.
We, the board.
The state
Yeah.
passed free breakfast and lunch for our students,
Yeah.
But
so,
our
Just-
students were already receiving
Right.
that.
So when you think about like, you know how over
How
the
do they eat on the
summertime,
weekend?
sometimes you know, saying we provided some food or whatever for kids over the summertime. It's like,
Meet up.
yeah.
We
So
do
it's like
that.
something like that. Like when you think about our budget from the cafeteria and how we actually have money, that's kind of like we have a lot of money in cafeteria, and so like, can that possibly be used somehow for kids to take home, like a lunch or food, something? I don't know. My brain is just thinking
You
that.
know, the food that's served through the food service fund has to be eaten
During the day.
not only during the day, it's supposed to be eaten like in the classroom. It's supposed to be eaten
Cafeteria.
Yeah.
in the cafeteria.
For those
Yeah.
students.
You're not even allowed to set up
Can't even
a
take it.
table of food that students haven't eaten, fruit and stuff that.
Yeah, they're not
kids can
supposed
take
to
home.
take an apple
I
back
got
to the
busted
classroom or
years
put it
back.
in their backpack.
Wow.
Now, it's not to say that we're that strict,
We don't.
but
No,
that's
yeah.
technically
Yeah.
speaking what's supposed to happen.
So I think I hear what you're saying because having done a lot of outreach through my faith-based organizations, I know a lot of people who, while their kids get breakfast and lunch, you know, it's the middle of the month and they're out of SNAP benefits and they have literally no groceries in there. And I've delivered boxes and had people in tears because they didn't know what they were going to feed their children. I think that if we see that happen, that's where we come together and think of how we help our families outside the bounds of
Yeah.
our rules, right?
And
What
that's
we
where
do
our
as human
SEL,
beings,
our
yeah.
social emotional
Yeah.
specialists will come in, our social workers to provide those resources to our students and our families
Yeah.
so that they know where to.
And I can run a
access
food distribution if we ever want to do one. I got people.
We do have a parent resource.
But pay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I list, places that give out food.
Yeah. Mr. Bailey?
So our community allocation of Redford Union School District is about 10,000. So figuring theoretically 2 parents for 1 child. So instead of specifically looking at one subject in terms of food in support of our community, we've got an organization already set up, right? We have funds that are available, maybe not directly, but could be used to interface to help our community. There was a food giveaway program. I don't remember, it was a foundation that Mr. Taylor allowed over here in Redford Union for giveaway on a special day. There's no reason why that couldn't be built in where we're helping not on special occasions where, you know, somebody goes hungry. Is Mr. Christopherson had a food program at Hilbert when he was principal. There's a way of doing this, but it's not, if this should arise, we could be setting up and helping our community that already existed.
And we're doing that with Fresh Den because they can get, from my understanding, they can get non-perishables from Fresh Den, right? So, you know, we are doing that for families in need. I know that multiple in the past there've been, you know, backpacks full of groceries that went home with kids on weekends, and I know that, and I know that we send them. Also, you know, we say, hey, Redford Interfaith is available. Eagles Helping Hands, which ask nothing of you. You just show up with your Gleaner's card. Redford Interfaith is income-based. You have to prove that you're in need. And the reality is this. Sometimes you can be above that threshold and still be in need. And I can tell you that I experienced that myself. My husband and I, when our kids were little and we were struggling, thank God for people in our church that helped us because we were above the threshold. We didn't get any state assistance because we weren't poverty stricken, and we couldn't go to a food bank that was income based because we weren't poverty stricken, but we didn't have grocery money. And we were blessed. We were blessed by people who took care of us. So some of them are just, I mean, we're helping as much as we can now, and do we maybe need to look at expanding that? Yes, we probably do, because the need is great. We all know the cost of everything is going up.
Yeah, but the spectrum is broad. So what we do is we're already doing a program with eyeglasses, right?
Yep.
And how many other programs do you have? The dental. Can we these are 10,000 people theoretically that are our community.
Agreed.
Besides just providing an education from K to 12, we're already set up. Can we provide a better way of servicing our community?
Yep, we probably
And
can.
it's not just food. Again, we're doing things like glasses and whatever, but can it be broader?
Yep.
As opposed to hit and miss, can we actually think it out and see what we can do to provide for our community?
So I would challenge you to maybe look into some resources and bring them back to us. I would challenge us all to look into resources that we can bring back to potentially expand what we're doing, especially given what we know about the state of the economy and the state of our federal government currently. Okay, any further questions around budget, so on? All right, you are off the hot seat. Okay. We'll move on to B, board self-assessment. So I think this is where we need to set some timelines. We all agreed at the last board meeting that we would start the board self-assessment process, but now we need to get some dates down on paper and some commitments from the board. Correct? Am I right? Okay. So I think
The next step in the process is completion of the survey.
right.
And then once the survey or the self-assessment's been completed, then MASB indicated they would come in and do a review based on the completed self-assessment.
Right, and we all really liked our facilitator, and we had a good rapport with him, and
So MASB has been chosen?
That's
for board self-assessment.
That's it.
Right,
Yeah,
the idea was
That
do
was
due
different.
diligence and looking at the different options.
that's for strategic
That's
plan.
Strategic planning.
So there's just MASB that was proposing this?
For the self-evaluation.
We are on item B, board self-assessment.
That is something that is done by MASB.
The
That's
man who
it.
gave the
Yeah.
presentation.
Only.
Only.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Because it's part of our it's part of our agreement with MASB.
And we're doing
And our
their
membership.
assessment. We're doing their assessment.
So, how comfortable are we with setting, I don't want to drag this out for a super long time. I feel like 2 weeks is reasonable for everyone at this table to have come, well,
I'm gonna do mine like
as soon as you get it, right, yeah, because when is our due date?
next Wednesday.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
She might do
So,
hers tonight.
Right.
so
If I
I
have
think,
it, I probably will, if not tomorrow.
I think for the sake of the fact that we have a little bambino on the way, and Mrs. Johnson is going to be out of commission for a couple weeks after that, because having a baby is a lot of work. I think 2 weeks, that I think if we say 2 weeks from today, this board is committed, that everyone on the board will complete the board self-assessment. Is that reasonable to everyone?
Yeah. And so then, the guy, can't remember his name.
I think Rod.
Right. Okay. So he will send us the link. I guess if you'll be like in communications.
We'll
and hey,
communicate with them and get the link out
Yes.
as quickly
Okay.
as we can. 2 weeks from the day that we
I
get
think I
them.
might, I mean, yes, we can get it sent out.
Jackie could.
I think I might actually have,
Jackie usually gives us everything.
Okay, so 2 weeks, everybody's good with 2 weeks?
Yeah. What day is that though?
So 2 weeks would be
So what day is that? In 2
Go with
weeks.
3
I
weeks.
think it's November 4th, isn't it?
November 4th.
Yeah, do the.
Oh, that's on Monday. Oh, no, that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That's voting.
Election day.
Election.
Yeah, so by election day.
Yeah.
And keep in mind when you get that assessment, that he admonished
Actually, go
us.
2 weeks from the date it's received.
I was gonna say,
Okay,
'cause
2
that's
weeks from
2
the
weeks
date
from
it's
today.
received. Okay, right.
Which I think, again, I'll have to look, I wanna say she might have sent it. But let me check.
Okay, so, just remember that he admonished us to not sit and dwell, over these answers, to be, that your gut is usually the right one, and you can't sit there and
Overthink it.
overthinking it, because then we defeat the purpose.
How long did you say the self-assessment was?
I don't remember.
You said
I
how
think he
long?
said it was
It's
like
85
yeah,
85 questions.
85 questions.
Yeah.
It should take us about 15 minutes if we don't overthink.
Yeah.
Go with that gut.
Right, yeah. And honestly, that's usually it's usually right? Your gut is usually right.
Yep, I already have it.
You already have it? All right,
Yeah.
so we will have that
weeks from
tomorrow.
today.
Yeah, I'll forward this to Jackie if she doesn't already
Yeah,
have
she
it.
usually sends us everything.
And you guys will receive a link.
So,
Yeah, Jackie will help us. Thank you.
Jackie will not complete it for you.
No, she's not gonna complete it, but she makes sure I get all the links.
and then just know that I will know how many board members have completed the assessment. And so if I don't see
But
7,
they said at least 6. As long as
if I don't see 7, I'm calling
That's right.
y'all.
We want
I'm gonna be
7. We
like,
want
I'm gonna be
100%
like,
completion.
Lorna,
At least
we're gonna throw Lorna under the bus since she's not here tonight.
She's not here.
Lorna, did you do your assessment? Lakia, did you? I'll be calling you. I'll be like, look, I only got 6 who isn't done,
Jeff, he
and I have
gonna
a
be the
lot
one.
of time on my hands right now. So
I'll pass.
I know where you live.
I'll let Jackie go, I'll pass.
Okay, I think we can move on to strategic planning update. Mr. Witt.
Well, actually, though, I think we should go back this time.
Okay, backing up.
Because we talked about completion of the self-assessment, but we didn't talk about tentatively looking at options. So I can also work with MASB to set up the follow-up.
So if we have it done, is there any reason why it couldn't possibly be the November workshop?
It could be the November workshop, however, I would suggest
January.
the December workshop potentially.
Okay,
And that's because then maybe Mrs. Johnson would be able to
a 10. Okay,
attend and have the benefit of that.
okay.
Or, because that's
Or-
gonna be close to Christmas.
January would be fine too.
January, I was thinking January.
Okay,
And again, I just wanted to get it clarified
let's do
if possible, so I can put it in
December
MASB's
workshop
hands and
would
get
be-
everything set up. The January workshop would be fine.
okay, let's decide, let's agree to January workshop.
January.
That gives everybody, yeah, you should be recovered and, we'll be through the
Well-rested.
holidays.
Well, rested.
Well, I don't know, she's gonna have a new baby, she's probably not gonna be well rested, but.
Healed.
Yes.
Healed,
Well,
yes.
Go with that,
Yes,
for sure.
healed. All right, okay, so now we will move on to strategic planning update. Mr. Witt.
All right, so the strategic planning update, you've been provided with the response from MASB. And that is outlined in front of you. There's a cover letter there, and then there's a proposal for what the process would look like, along with their fees involved. And I wish I had this done already, but it wasn't done. I have been working with Michigan Virtual, who did our portrait of a graduate, to get a second proposal, but I need to have a follow-up meeting with them based on what they provided initially, to have some discussion with their consultant. So I didn't have that ready to go for tonight, but I can have that information for you in advance of the next board meeting.
Okay.
So then you would at least have two potential plans to consider.
Then we gotta also consider our budget in general. Is it in our budget to do it?
That's what I said, I don't know.
I'll talk to Maria about that as well,
Yeah, we
in
wanna be
advance of,
Responsible.
in advance of the meeting. I will also have a discussion with Maria about that.
Thank
I
you.
think that's a good point, but I also would say, every training, I know you've sat in multiple trainings, I've sat in multiple trainings where they talk about the decisions we make as a board should directly tie back to our strategic plan. And so I do want us to be fiscally responsible, but I also think that if it's, if it's not gonna hurt us too much.
No, and I'm confident we have the $10,000 roughly for this process. I honestly believe we might have a little more than that, depending on where the other quote comes back at, and depending on people's perceptions of the two processes and what their preference is. But I will confirm that and try to identify a specific account from which we could draw those funds, and have a discussion with Maria about that, so that when we discuss this at the board meeting, I can provide you with that information.
Thank you.
Chair, I was
Ms.
wondering, is
Miller.
it additional cost after we paid the 9,700?
This,
Will it be an additional?
this, their
Or is that the final
cost, the cost proposal from MASB, as I understand it and read it in advance, that's their all-in cost, is the $9,728.80.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty cheap though.
that is pretty reasonable.
I can tell
When
you
you think about the
that,
amount of work that goes in.
that
Exactly.
I expect the other organization will be higher than that, but I can't say how their process might compare with the process outlined here.
Anybody else? Any
But in
further
either
questions?
way, I think that the proposals that come forward would be manageable, but I'll confirm that with Maria. But yeah, the goal was to have at least two to compare. I did also check with Wayne Reesa to see if they had consultants that would be able to do it and support us in that way, and I was told that at this current time they do not.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody good on strategic plan? All right. Item G, National School Boards Administration, NSBA 2026 Advocacy and Equity Institute stipend application. So you have a letter from Mike Landis, and I can speak to this because I'm on the Wayne County Association of School Boards Board. We always set aside funds to help offset the cost of board members going to the National Advocacy Institute. It's a first come, first served basis. That deadline is coming up. It probably says on here somewhere.
7.
Yeah.
Friday, November 7th.
Okay, to submit your intent to go. It's $695 or less. It's a first come, first served basis, and it's one per district. So the first application that we get from a district, that person gets the money. Okay, so we don't say, okay, Mrs. Martin from Redford Union gets half and Mrs. Johnson gets half. We give it to one member from each district that applies. Last year, I think we did 7 or 8 people. We helped 7 or 8 people, and they were able to get around $400 and something each. I would have to look back at my my emails, because I was the one who notified board members that that we were going to help them. But get your, like, if this is something you want to do, it's in Washington, D.C. It's typically in Washington, D.C. It's in February. I don't know how much this conference costs, but yeah. And honestly, I mean, DC is drivable. You could drive that. A lot of people do. I'll say, again, if we're being fiscally responsible, let's think about what the cost of that could be to the district and whether or not it's responsible for us to do.
So what's the purpose of this being on the agenda?
To make people aware, just so that you know that there is assistance from Wayne County Association of School Boards.
And I think I asked if it could be at the agenda as well,
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Where you going?
I was thinking about it, but wasn't for sure. I didn't know if somebody else wanted to go, because when I read it.
So I'm gonna apply, and I'll split it with whoever else is interested.
No, but
in
if
doing
you're
it.
interested, go, do it. I won't.
Again, I'll split it with whoever else is interested.
Okay, and typically they just write a check to the district, and that's what we do is, I will tell you that Wayne County often has a large contingent, a large group of people there in DC representing. And one of the things you do is you meet with our senators, our state senator, not our state senators, but our, you get a chance to have your voice heard, and my understanding from my fellow board members at Wayne County that have gone, it's a wonderful opportunity. I think if it's at all possible to do it, somebody should, right?
Bailey said he's interested.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure you.
Yeah, but if somebody else wants to go, I will split whatever
Okay.
if I get it.
So you'll
So-
apply, and then the money, Jackie will just know that the money, all right. And so, you're gonna email it, like you have this on here, but you email it to Mike Letvis, and then he forwards it to the Wayne County Board. This should be in your district email. If you don't have it, let me know, I'll send it to you. Give me a call, shoot me a text. I'll send it to your personal email. All right.
Or can they fax it?
I
Is there a fax number?
No, you can mail it.
Just so you know, the early bird savings for registration and November 14th.
That's why we set a November 7th deadline, so people would know if they were getting
I'm
assistance.
just saying for anybody who's interested in potentially
How much is
registering.
it on there? You see it or no?
I'm looking.
Well, a flight is a couple hundred.
Early registration looks to be $590.
That's actually not
that's
bad.
good.
That's not bad. And if you drive, that's
Yeah.
cheaper than, I mean, it's a long drive, but
What is it covering?
it's probably similar to Leadership Conference where it
Okay,
covers.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna copy and paste the link, and I will, when Jackie sends out the
Thank
link
you,
to the
Jackie.
self-assessment in the morning,
Poor Jackie.
Jackie can send out the
Jackie
link
like,
to the
"Thanks, y'all."
NSBA.
Jackie, you see how you got voluntold, Jackie? Okay. Any other questions with regards to that? All right. Awesome. All right. 2025 capital bond project update. That's all,
All right.
Mr. Witt.
Yeah, this will be quick.
Good. You got 3 minutes. Oh,
No, it'll be quick. Quicker than that.
turn the light on.
I just want to let you know, the meeting of the advisory committee has been set for 4:45. No, 4:15. 4:15 to 5:15, an invite was sent out before the November 4th, or no, November 3rd board meeting. So that's the next meeting of the advisory committee. We do have our partners all identified and selected by the district. I'm gonna be having a preliminary discussion with them prior to the advisory committee meeting, and then we will have more to update after that advisory committee meeting. As a note, we do have one community member already on the advisory committee, who's Mr. Kick. I'm also gonna be reaching out to each of the school buildings to see if they can identify one additional community member parent. So I will say that it's a community member parent
Okay.
in this case, because it does relate to the bond dollars
It's not
we're
a school of
spending.
choice plan.
And not that we don't love our schools of choice parents as well, but I'm gonna ask them to send me somebody they believe that's a community parent who would actually participate in the process and be interested in doing so. So I'll be reaching out to them, and there's a good chance that we'll even be able to have those people identified before the advisory committee meeting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. District property considerations. Oh, tell me something good. Tell me something good. Oh, sorry.
Well, this should also hopefully be quick. Although if I
Good,
don't
you got 1 minute.
send
No.
this email, I'm gonna forget to
Send
send
the
Jackie
email.
this
Don't
link.
forget.
But no, I think it's just we talk about like different topics of discussion and things like that. And I think like a workshop format like this is to get as good an opportunity as any to provide an opportunity for the folks that are in this room, in particular the board members. Because we haven't revisited this question, but I think it's something we need to revisit initially, just to gauge where people are at, and if there is a will and desire. One thing we need to get back to is we still have these, and this does tie into even some of our prior budget discussion potentially. I mean, there's other aspects. We're gonna have ongoing bond-related work starting up and having those discussions. As a part of that process, there's at least one other school building, if not two other school buildings that aren't being utilized right now, that we have plans to demo or potentially repurpose in some fashion. And so we need to get back to this discussion about the first parcel that comes to mind is the 9 acres that are already vacant over there at Bowman and that parcel. And so I just wanted to use the workshop format as an opportunity to just see whether this is something I should be trying to bring back and explore again alternatives for that property, that parcel, and just where different board members are at. Because as soon as we start talking about it again, let's just be honest. As soon as we start talking about it, the dozen of people, and it really was only about a dozen that came out the last time, are gonna come out potentially again.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I just wanted to open it up and see where people are at, so I can know like how much, we all only have so much time in the day, and it's a question of how I need to be spending some of that time.
So to help those who weren't here at that time, so the Bowman lot, Bowman has been torn down. It's a lot now. It's been a vacant lot that we pay to insure and maintain. Several years ago, we sought some proposals on how to sell that lot to build new homes. That is the township's desire, because obviously new homes is better for the township, right? Because that's more taxes. At that time, it was the board at that time, the majority of us were in favor of that. But the proposals were kind of insulting. When you offer me $100,000, and I get there's millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of infrastructure that has to happen before a single house is built. But when you offer me $100,000 for 9 acres of land, I'm not doing it, right? It's not happening. And that was, we kind of went back and forth about, well, can we do this? How many houses are there going to be? What should the houses look like? Like I'm going to say I live a block from there. I have said all along that I think houses are a good idea. It increases my property values for sure. But I don't want $400,000 homes a block from my $150,000 home. I don't want these big, like if you've ever driven down Linden between Inkster and Middlebelt, Livonia had done that. They had a school there, they tore it down, they sold it. They've built these homes that started at about $400,000 that don't look like anything else in the neighborhood. And so for me, as not only as a homeowner who has to look at that every day, I don't want a $400,000 home in the neighborhood. I want homes that look like my neighborhood, right? I don't want 50 homes. I've said this, I'm on record multiple times saying this, I will fight anything that is 50 homes. That's way too many homes. That's crazy. I will resign my board position and fight as a community member to prevent 50 homes. That's how radical I am about it. I think it doesn't make sense for us to keep this property. It doesn't make sense for us to we are still the largest landowner in this township. That is not right-sizing this district. It's not fiscally responsible. And honestly, while we can't guarantee that every person who buys a home on one of those pieces of property has kids and sends their kids to Redford Union Schools, there's a possibility. So I just think personally, fiscally, it's the right thing to do is to look at proposals of what potentially can be built on the Bowman lot first, and then from there forward.
Through the chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So are we looking to just have land with these buildings that are being used?
I think we would look to, after we deal with this first piece of land, and then we demo the other buildings, that we would look to do something similar with the other pieces of property too, like the Stuckey property and the Bebeck property.
So they're all demoed.
I believe
Okay,
we talked
first of all, before anything is demoed, that will be brought to the Board
Right,
of Education.
those decisions haven't been made yet.
However, in what was laid out, the demolition of the buildings was, the cost associated with demoing those buildings was included as being potential projects within the scope of the bond.
Yes.
But like other things associated with the bond, those packages are all brought in front of the Board of Education.
So back to blindsided. The thing is, from what I understand, Keeler was renovated the way it was because the state only allows so much time the building's not used.
3
for
years,
school.
3 years.
Then, my understanding.
Renovated by whom? That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
There's a newspaper article, I don't know if it's right or wrong. I'm going by the fact that.
Oh, that might be before me then, I guess. if
Money
you're
It
saying
was.
that.
went to Keeler.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Because the time, the deadline was approaching.
That's correct.
Okay,
So
well, when
the
you
thing
say
is-
blindsided, just to be clear, like going forward, when you say blindsided, could that maybe pertain to things that have happened during my time here, or could you at least indicate that this was something that might have happened 10, 15, 20
Okay.
years ago?
It hadn't even been that long, because it happened when I was on the board, and we were not
Okay.
blindsided. Our administration came to us and said, we need to occupy this building by this date, or we are going to be held to new guidelines with regard to occupying. And so we moved some programs in, we moved something in there, I don't remember what we moved in. But, so if it sits vacant for 3 years, I think it's 3 years, yeah. And then you decide after 3 years, if you don't occupy it within that 3-year time, you then have to bring it up to all current ADA codes. We knew we were approaching that time frame at Keeler, and so we moved central office. I think we moved central office into the end that is down where, yeah, because we had our board meetings there. We moved central office into what is now.
When it might also be when they moved the alternative or virtual.
Yeah, and so
program
we
there
moved a
as well.
program in there, and we were not blindsided. We were told we were never blindsided. Our superintendent, I believe it was Ron Stoneman at the time, told us ahead of time, we're coming up at on this time, and this is what we need to do, and the board took action to make sure that it happened. There was no blindside.
So, when I refer to blindsided, I'm referring to us as a board now. Then you had mentioned that either we get rid of the bare land that we have or repurpose the building. Well, if we wait long enough, we don't have to repurpose the building because it's either demolition or pouring a lot of money to bring them up to code, right?
Correct.
So as in reference to other blindsiding, again, no, I won't cover that now. I'll bypass that.
I think, oh, are you still, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I know we did have a conversation about possibly looking at the different buildings, how we could possibly repurpose, like Stuckey. We did mention some things like that. So, because how many years has Stuckey been? I know it's been at least 2.
We're close. We're close to 3, I think.
It has to.
Yeah, it was occupied last year.
What was in here last year?
It was occupied by the weight room and students utilized it.
Okay.
So
then
that's all that has to be done to keep that current?
Again, I will talk with our consultants from Plant Moran about this, but yes, there were things that we did to still try to keep some presence within the building. Whether or not I will have a discussion with our consultants about that.
And bring it back to us as to what the
Yes,
situation
yes,
is, right?
yes.
And Beck is currently occupied. Well, no, this is the first year that it's been empty, right?
The potential, yes. And to be honest with you, we have an opportunity, if there is a building that, getting to this question of potentially repurposing, if there's a building to potentially be repurposed of the two, to me, it would be the Beck building.
It's in better shape.
It's in better shape. And part of that is because it had limited programming within there for a long period of time,
not
although
today,
it had programming. A lot of it was very limited and limited to one space in the building. The conditions at Stuckey, are not as nice as conditions at Beck.
And the Stuckey property is like a swamp. It's like,
Well, there are other concerns,
It's
there
more-
are
it really is.
potential wetland concerns on the Stuckey property.
yeah, my
And
house,
generally speaking, even before we pulled programming out of there, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent, it just is what it is. There was a perception that staff had and occupants had that it was somehow an unhealthy building.
I will say, my husband's grandparents lived across the street on the backside of Stuckey when he was growing up. And he's 60 years old. And he can remember even as a child, when the weather was nice, they would go across and play it, right? But he can remember even as a child that there were times that it was just mud and water and they couldn't go across the street and play because, he would have come home covered in mud and his mother would have had to make him walk home then.
And to be honest with you, the Stuckey property is also closer, although it is set off the main road, it's only set off the main road by a block
Yeah.
versus the Beck property is still situated within, more or less within the residential
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So if you look at the USGS maps, historical ones, that property was a swamp. Bowman's a swamp. It's still a swamp
Yeah,
in
Bowman's
Village.
tough, yeah,
So a lot of this property is swamp.
yeah.
I do not understand why when they built that they didn't think. And I think the sewer, part of that sewer, when you look at it, was used as a drainage, like a French drain to drain that land.
Yeah.
So, this is a long time problem. But, Mr. Witt, when you say wetland, is it wet land or are you talking wetlands considered?
I've heard both, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, it was at one time certified as a wetland.
And that was,
Well,
the state came in and said this is wetland? So you're screwed.
I don't know, I don't know if it still has.
No,
that
I don't think it
certification.
was the entire parcel. I don't think it was the entire parcel. And if I'm screwed, you're screwed because you're on the Board of Education
We're
too.
screwed. Okay,
We all
so let's
screwed
kind
together.
of,
So going back to, I'm sorry,
let's
go
go
ahead.
back to Bowman. The property
Yeah,
that is
okay,
currently
let's see it.
vacant, right? Because that's the property that we have the power really to make a decision on whether or not we want to move forward with potentially going out for proposal to build something there.
Why can't the city, this township, the township doesn't want to buy it from us?
The township would like, I think,
For a
they
dollar.
don't, for a dollar.
I can tell you this, surprisingly, can I tell you this, surprisingly enough, and I would say overall, I still would say we have a positive relationship with the township. I meet with the township people from time to time, we have lots of positive conversations. We sit on a lot of joint committees that involve community organizations and things like that. But I can tell you, when it comes to the township doing anything that would give us fair market value for anything, that cooperation does not exist. When we had a incident arise on the south side of the high school, I don't know if people remember this during construction, but there was a line break over there, and they had to do a special repair and everything else.
Because that costs us money.
And I tried to get them to because it is their infrastructure that we were repairing, to just try to share a portion of the cost.
Yeah.
And they weren't interested.
And the advantage of us doing it, us selling it to a developer, we control then what happens to it. We control how many houses are built. We control the style of house that is built.
How's that?
Because
Go
we don't,
through
because
zoning and-
we don't accept a proposal that's 57 houses. We accept a proposal and sell to someone, and we put it in the contract.
Yeah, but it's not like building a school that goes through the state approval process, whatever. This is going through zoning and through building permits.
Correct.
They control it.
No,
Yeah, but it's currently zoned residential.
It's zoned residential, and we sell it to a developer who's interested in developing it in a manner that we would like to see it developed. So if a developer comes to us and says 54 houses, we say no, and we go to the developer who maybe says 38 houses.
I know Dean was speaking about possibly, let's say for instance, if we had like a construction, like CTE, I think that's the right program, established. And let's say for instance, the kids could assist with learning a skill by working possibly with the developers and something to
And
that
that's a
sort.
great partnership, right, with the home builder.
She has a good, and I know you do too, Jeff, has a good eye for like those type of things. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what she has to say because.
Mr. Osowski.
The only problem with that right now, it's $1.5 to $2 million for them to do a water. Like we did with
Water
the-
retention, the first thing you have to do is water retention.
Whoever buys it has to put that up front before the township will even approve a plan.
Yeah, there's
$2
millions,
million.
it's millions of dollars in infrastructure before a home is even built.
So, yeah, that's really cool. What was the Catholic school, CC?
Yeah, yeah,
Same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Lowell, Volney Smith, same sort of thing. So it's not, we're not blazing new ground here.
no,
No, you're not.
We're not,
No,
but-
no one's gonna put $2 million up before they can get any money back.
Well, somebody put money into
Catholic Central?
CC, they put money
Yeah, and they
into
went
Lowell.
bankrupt halfway through the job, they went bankrupt and they went to another company.
But there's houses still there.
And there's houses that are still lots there that you can build on.
correct.
Only Smith's the same way.
That's
No one's gonna
Shamrock,
put-
right?
So
Shamrock.
why do they gotta put the $2 million up for? Why did they get?
Water washout.
First thing that has to be done to that property before they can run electrical, plumbing, anything, is a water retention
You know that
system.
area, you know that huge grass area over there that's in the athletic courtyard? On just the east side of where the turf field ends? Underneath there is a huge underground water retention area.
And the beauty of like
And
a
that,
housing,
anytime you developed a parcel, even one that is seemingly flat, you
Yeah.
have to have that under Wayne County or they
Yeah.
won't approve any development at all.
Wow.
and then
That's
the beauty of it is that everyone that proposed back then, they had ideas that made it like one looked like it was a pond, right? So it gave a community appeal, right? So they had talked about it being like the center of the property being this nice walkable path,
Yeah.
and they would put it there, and so like a home developer is going to want to make it look nice, right?
Absolutely.
Because obviously they're going to build a new home there that they want to sell. So that's the beauty of like,
Now I can see why they was trying to give it to us for so cheap.
yes, and
can
like
see that.
I'm going to say we were like a little bit insulted
Yeah.
by the offer, and we had actually at that time we had countered back and said, okay, we can sell it for that, but what we would like is every time you sell a house, we would like a percentage on the back end
Yeah.
to the district. Well, they didn't want to hear that. Nobody came back and said, okay, we'll do that for
Yeah.
you. And so it died, right? Because we weren't, none of us were selling it for $100,000. It just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So that's, I think that it's a little important to pursue that again.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Noteworthy items. You had a lot of time to talk tonight.
Well, if you don't want to hear about the great things going on in Redford Union
listen,
Schools,
I'm just messing with
then
you.
we can,
Come on, I'll give you 5 minutes. No. I gotta give you a hard time at least once a meeting. You'll miss it if you don't get it.
so now these slides that you're about to see are a small portion of our slides that served, can you go back to the cover?
I just straight.
I want like the slow reveal.
I'm like, oh yeah, we're done.
She's HR, she's not tech. Give her some.
No, she's tech.
Right.
She just didn't know that Kim gave it up. So these are excerpts, are selected portions of a slide presentation that was done at the superintendent's meeting this past Friday. And I just wanted to highlight some things like we do have a lot going on in our district that you're well aware of, and then there's other things that we need to take time to acknowledge and recognize. And one of those things is when we look at our performance, and again, we've shown a lot of growth and done different presentations on growth taking place within the district as far as student growth. But we also know that there's measurements of proficiency as well. So we were among the top 5 districts with the greatest 3-year proficiency growth as measured by the PSAT 8 in 8th grade ELA. So those LEA districts on the side there include Redford Union. And then additionally, if we go on to the next slide, you will see that Redford Union was also among the top 5 districts with the greatest 3-year proficiency growth as measured by the SAT, which is taken by our 11th grade students.
Yes.
So we are highlighted there under that slide. And then everybody is aware of our efforts to try and work to address chronic absenteeism, and this is not an indication that we've found the magic elixir to solve chronic absenteeism, but you're aware of the various things that we're doing around student attendance. And this is the thing that I guess I'm most proud in, even though I will tell you there's a lot of work to do. But we made, I think it's a 20-point reduction
Wow.
in our chronic absenteeism rate.
Yes.
When you look this is from 2023. I don't want to say this, but I know we're not alone in this. Not only within Wayne County, but other pockets of the state. We had a rate of around 60%. Of chronically absent students. And in 2024, 2025, the school year that's passed, the last full school year that we have the data for, you will see that we led Wayne County by a significant margin, I will add, in reducing our chronic absenteeism to around 40% last school year.
Yeah.
So these are the things that you won't always hear about. And again, we've employed a lot of different strategies, some that have varied by building, some that are more consistently done district-wide. We have an attendance group that meets regularly within the district that's comprised of a combination of building staff and administrators that are trying to tackle this issue all the time. But again,
You all right?
that kind of jump is,
Okay. No, I saw your head go down like hard.
Checking on
I'm sorry. Okay.
that kind of jump is, should be celebrated, and I wanted to share that positive news with
That's
the board.
awesome. That's
So are
awesome.
those statistics written somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, they're somewhere.
So is there any chance I can receive a set of those, plus the other slide? You said this is part of the.
I'm not going to give you the slides from the superintendent's meeting, because with all due respect, you're not a superintendent within Wayne County.
So this is not public information?
No.
The whole superintendent's meeting isn't on this. All of the slides are mixed into this meeting.
Yeah, these are slides that were pulled out of a portion of the meeting.
So do you want these slides, Mr. Bailey?
I wanna see how everybody's fitting in relation to one another. If the slides
I don't know
are-
that you're gonna see that by the information we have, but I will provide you the information we have.
I think
Which are other slides like this, right?
You know what? I will do what I said I was gonna do. I will provide you with the information I have that was shared with me, and I will put you in touch with somebody from Wayne County, and you can ask them for whatever data you wanna ask them for.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
And how did you become a partnership district? I see these, what do they do? What qualifies them to be a partnership
yeah.
district?
the ones that are highlighted, like Kayla, Rana, sticker.
Well, we don't really, being a partnership district is not a good thing.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's
Okay.
what I'm asking.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the definition? I don't understand.
Yeah.
The partnership districts are amongst the lowest performing in the county.
Okay. So
Okay.
we don't want to be a partnership district.
Okay. I
Thanks.
thought that you get more perks, they're gonna give you.
I mean, it sounds really
It
good.
does sound.
I mean, you actually
Well, we
kind
don't
of do get perks in that you get a lot of scrutiny and support.
That's a,
Some may call
Yeah,
it
it's okay.
support and consulting, some might call it oversight and second guessing, but you get that as a partnership district.
yeah, no, that's okay.
Well, how does that differ from the 3 schools that the state's working with us?
Those are.
We're like a threshold of, those schools are like a threshold above partnership level. So we're trying to work this way instead of
Yeah.
that way.
A good
So
job.
we're in the same league?
No, we're better.
No,
Just.
No, I would say like they're in like the, let's say, we're probably in like the, they're probably like in the minor leagues and we're like a major league team still.
or like,
But we're like not the Seattle Mariners or Blue Jays
Not the Blue Jays
or
or the Dodgers.
Dodgers,
We might be the St. Louis Cardinals.
but we're
they
still
got
in the
us
major
this year.
leagues.
And we're still under state.
yeah, so like they're in
Here,
red,
right?
like red, they're.
Well, we're still on the state's radar
We're
for
yellow.
certain
Yeah.
performance factors, and as a result, we do receive some consulting support through Wayne Risa, but not as much support and scrutiny as the partnership
Just a
districts.
matter
That
of
makes
degree
sense.
then, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. All right. What else?
And the last item is, I just wanted to share this document with you because it's a document that I not only support, but in the near future, I will be signing this as a representative of our district. And this just echoes but I wanted the board to be aware of it in case they hear about it or see it in some publication or hear about it at a Wayne County meeting. The bottom line is, across the county, we still have, everybody in this room knows how important literacy is. And essentially what this is just a way to memorialize our commitment as Wayne County schools about commonly held commitments. Not that we all use the same curriculum or the same approaches in every classroom across the county, but it's just shared best practices, essentially, that we're committed to as districts across Wayne County. So I wanted you guys to be aware of this in case this comes up when you're at county meetings, or if there is a press release about this and you read something about it in the papers and somebody in the community or otherwise asks you about it, I wanted you to be aware of this Wayne County literacy promise.
The chair,
Mr. Bailey?
so are we supposed to approve this?
No. This is a commitment that the superintendents, on behalf of their organizations, are being asked to commit to. No board action is required or expected.
Thank you. All right, call to the audience. There is no audience.
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Mr. Bailey?
So, I went to University of Michigan Dearborn, and addressed this subject multiple times in terms of the leadership program. We have an opportunity, instead of potluck when it comes elections, where we can actually be training our leaders for the future. Now, that can actually be something that's set up. And to help with that, I saw, instead of reinventing the wheel, where we're all starting from scratch, the University of Michigan Dearborn has leadership workshops, which means that they've already got people trained and willing to do this. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We don't have to take a month or an academic year to do it. But I'm willing to lay odds that these are students who have studied up on this, making presentations to other students who would be willing to come and do the same thing here. For this program, if you attend 3 workshops, you receive a leadership certificate. If you attend all workshops, you receive a special gift. Now that's for their program, but I'm sure since this already exists, it's something that, if it's thought out, is something that could be adopted in addition to other leadership training. The next thing is, this is a plan B for some of our students who are technical, meaning that they're interested in robotics or drones or whatever. This is we're not, as far as I know, teaching like Raspberry Pi or Arduinos, which are standalone small computers that can run vehicles or buildings or whatever. But out at the Pinckney Community Education Center, Pathfinder School, they've got a course that's already set up that we could direct our students to participate in if they're interested. I'll pass this on to you if you'd be interested in passing it out to our
we can
community.
pass it on to.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Anybody else got anything on their, anything for us, Axel? Anything you want to say? All right, awesome.
I have one more item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our very talented Jackie Warren has put together
Maybe
a
it was that one.
a video that she would like to share with the group.
Okay. Yay, Jackie! Woo! Woo, woo.
Alright, well,
If you can get it
depending
to
on
her.
my ability to do this, so. I might not actually do it.
This is the rough cut version.
Well, it's pretty rough.
So this isn't the one that's going to compete with the Academy Award?
You got
What
to
do you
click.
do here, Jackie?
I don't know if it's gonna get an Academy Award. It'll
Recommended,
probably
maybe
get some award.
recommended. Click on recommended.
Yeah,
And then that.
let's see.
All right, yay,
Okay,
Jackie!
You came up with the lyrics? too?
Love it.
Hey, was your lyrics yours or was it AI?
It was AI, but I gave it the prompts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did do this.
Yes.
So,
You know they have competitions, right? How long is this?
how long is it?
Yeah.
Just a minute.
About a minute.
So, you
It's
know,
longer, but I don't have that was the free version.
Yeah.
So,
you know they have
Love it.
competitions, right? For videos.
oh yeah,
So if I run across them, would you be interested in submitting?
I'll look at it.
Yeah. That's awesome, Jackie. I love it. Yay, Jackie.
Way to
I
go,
do have
Jackie.
one
Way to go, Jackie.
I do
Way
have
to
one
go.
thing.
That was really catchy too.
It
Like-
was. I like
like,
that song.
yeah, I'm
I was
like,
already joining
I
in.
know, right?
I will tell you this, it's much
Yeah.
better than the song she did about a year ago.